Hey guys, I got a question for you. Can you undo the distributive property? In the math world, this is also known as factoring. So let's look at this. I'm going to remind you of a couple things from the previous lesson where you have the distributive property here and you can actually distribute that A to the B and to the C. Well, I actually don't want to do that. This time I'm going to start you off with AB plus AC, and you've got to pull that A out to the outside of the parentheses. Same thing would happen regardless of if it looks like this, this, or this. I want to pull that A out of the parentheses, or out of the equation, and get this. So let's try it out. I have 8x plus 32. Well, if I look at 8x, I could actually divide out a 2, I could divide out a 4, and I could divide out an 8. Because I'm probably going to leave the x there unless both of them have an x, and in this case they don't. For the 32, I could pull out a 2, I could pull out a 4, I could pull out an 8, could even pull out a 16. So what's the largest I could pull out of both of them? Well, if we look here, that's actually the 8. So, if I pull out the 8, and then open up my parentheses, what is 8x divided by 8? That's just going to be x. What's 32 divided by 8? Well, that's going to be a positive 4. Well, guys, the awesomeness of this is you can actually double check your work to make sure it actually works out. So what is 8 times x? That's 8x. What is 8 times 4? That's 32. If you accidentally put the wrong thing on the outside of the parentheses, it's not going to work out. So you just have to pay attention to that part. So let's come over here to 5x minus 35. What can I pull out here? Well, 5x is only going to be divisible by 1, 5, and x. So let's try pulling out a 5. If I pull out a 5, 5x divided by 5 gives me just x. Yes, there is a 1 in front of that x, but we don't write it. Well, what is negative 35 divided by 5? Well, that gives me a negative 7. And let's check this out. 5 times x is 5x. 5 times negative 7 is negative 35. Well, let's look at this one, guys. Negative 6x minus 42. If you see, I have both numbers are negative, so I can actually pull out a negative here, and that's what I'm going to do. But let's just look at the numbers first of all. 6 can be divided by 1, 2, 3, and 6. Remember, these are what 6 can be divided by. Well, what about that 42? It can be divided by 1 and 2. 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 can be divided by 3, so 42 can be divided by 3. Since it's divisible by both 2 and 3, it can be divisible by 6. It can also be divisible by 7. Well, guys, I don't see a point in going any further as far as getting higher, because, yes, 42 can also be divided by things like 14 and 21, but I can't pull anything higher than 6 out of 6, so I'm actually going to stop here. Let's pull a 6 out. Remember, I said I was going to pull out a negative also. So pull out that negative 6. And what I have left, negative 6x divided by 6, leaves me with just x. Negative 42 divided by negative 6 gives me a positive 7. And check that out. Negative 6 times x gives me a negative 6x, and negative 6 times 7 gives me a negative 42. Well, let's come over here and look at this second one. And when I look at 9 and 81, I automatically see 81 divided by 9 is 9. So I'm going to pull out that 9. Negative 9x divided by 9 gives me a negative x. 81 divided by 9 gives me positive 9. So here I have 9 times negative x, which would give me negative 9x, and 9 times 9 gives me 81. Now just remember, if you have any questions about this, make sure you write them down right now so that you can ask them tomorrow in class. Have a good day, Panthers.